Hey there, it's Emma, and welcome to this episode of SAX BITES, the 5-minute saxophone lesson podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about buying a saxophone. So I'm actually going to split this up into a couple of episodes because I think that depending on where you are in your saxophone journey, that will change what you're actually looking for in an instrument. And to be honest, if you're a beginner, you're probably not actually looking for your instrument. Your parents are, versus if you're a university student or someone that is getting really serious about playing saxophone, then you're probably going to be making that decision yourself. So let's start today with buying a saxophone for beginners. So this episode really goes out to my parents and my saxophone teachers who are looking for really straightforward advice that they can use when they're trying to buy a saxophone for a beginner student. So what I like to look for in an instrument for a beginner is something that's going to be reliable, something that is going to play well, play easily. And quite frankly, I often look at the mouthpiece reed ligature combo more than I actually look at the instrument. So when we're looking for a reliable instrument, we're looking for a brand that is known for their consistency in the instruments that they make. Some of the beginner marketed instruments are cheaper because they either cut corners in the production or there is a lack of consistency in terms of the key work, in terms of the pads that they use. And actually, some of the beginner instruments that I've seen are harder to play than my pro instrument. I pop my mouthpiece on there and I am struggling to get a good sound on these instruments. So a beginner student, they're never going to get a good sound. They're not going to have a good learning experience. And if they feel like they're fighting the instrument while they are just getting started and learning, I don't know about you, but I would want to quit. If I was not getting a decent sound as a beginner, if I was battling the instrument every time I played it. So I like to look for brands that are more reputable brands that have been around a little bit longer and that manufacture. I love, my absolute favorite beginner horn to recommend is actually a Yamaha beginner or a Yanagisawa beginner model. And I particularly like the models that are specified that they're manufactured in Japan. I've seen some great instruments come through the doors with beginners who have chosen that. So the reason why I say reliability is because there is an influx in the market of instruments that are produced and are being sold at dirt cheap prices. Here in Australia, we have an outdoor home repair shop called Bunnings, and they've actually started stocking instruments. And we also have Aldi instruments come through. And what I see parents fall into the trap of is they see these instruments, they are unbeatable prices. You know, even I've thought about, do I need that extra flute? Do I need that extra clarinet? Because they're so dirt cheap. But when I actually get my hands on the instrument, when I've had students come in and I've seen a wide variety of different instruments coming through, these bargain buy instruments, I'm seeing problems in the key work and in terms of where the keys are actually manufactured and where the tone holes are placed and how the tone holes are finished. I've seen some really problematic pads, leather pads on the saxophone keys, and when I'm playing them, I'm getting massive tuning issues. So putting that student in a beginner band setting, they're having tuning issues, they're not sounding good, they're not feeling good. So I really kind of warn parents against going for these super bargain brand instruments. They also don't hold resale value, or particularly, again, all of this advice is coming from an Australian perspective, but you know, if you buy an instrument for a beginner, more than likely, if they enjoy their instrument, they're going to want to upgrade when they get to high school or university level. So that beginner instrument, you probably want to sell it on, pass it to someone in the family or in your school community. So you want to buy an instrument. For me, I want to choose something that's going to have a little bit of resale value. And those instruments just don't hold that. Whereas brands that have a bit more of a reputation, that are manufactured, you know, you're paying a little bit more at the outset, but you're almost certainly going to get more back when you're reselling it later. And then when you're setting up a beginner on saxophone, you want to actually look at the mouthpiece ligature and reed combo. So for a lot of people, when they buy their first saxophone and they're a beginner and they're purchasing, they're going to use whatever comes in the box, whatever mouthpiece comes in the box. And for a lot of people, the mouthpiece that it comes with may not actually be suitable for a beginner. So in that case, we actually need to get them something that's going to work. I personally like to recommend a good old Yamaha 4C mouthpiece. It's a standard for beginners. It works really well for pretty much every beginner I've ever popped on that mouthpiece, and it is very easy to play. If your student is someone that is playing through all of primary school and maybe a bit into high school, that mouthpiece should actually last them a really long time. With the 4C for beginners, I like a size 2 reed. So not a 1.5. I know that might be controversial for some people, but a size 2 reed gives them a little bit more resistance and enables them to get to a better sound faster. Pop that together with either a classic metal ligature, or if you're wanting to really invest in something quality that's going to last a little bit longer, a leather ligature, kind of like what I've got here, like a leather ligature like this, will give them a little bit more usability in their ligature into the future. So I think the thing to remember when buying an instrument for a beginner is you're looking for something that is going to make the learning experience easier. You want to set your student up for success with a reliable instrument, a good combo on the mouthpiece and reed and ligature, something that is going to sound good and be easy to blow into. And that is going to help them really learn to love the saxophone, enjoy the instrument that they've chosen, and are going to progress faster. Because let's face it, no one enjoys playing something that's a slog to play. So good luck out there shopping. If you have any comments or questions about buying a saxophone, feel free to leave them on any of our socials. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and you can always email us as well. So until next time, this has been Sax Bites, the 5-minute saxophone lesson podcast. Bye-bye.